Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. Today's video is all about preventing disease and insect damage with your squash, zucchini, cucumbers, melons. This is really a second video. I will link the first video that showed you how I planted the squash, zucchini, cucumbers, everything that you see here. These have been growing for about 4 weeks. And it's really time to start prevention. You don't want to wait till you see the diseases. You don't want to wait till you see the insect damage. You want to start early. And the first thing I recommend is keep a journal. If you're just getting started, or if this is, gardening something you've been doing for a while and you know diseases come, you know pests come. If you don't have a journal, start now. Write down the date, write down what's going on. If you're using your camera, take a couple of pictures and try and start managing the diseases and the insects about 2 weeks before they arrive in your area. And it's going to vary for everybody. So we're going to cover neem oil, which I sell at my seed shop, which is right there. A product called BT, which you can use in a spray bottle like that. You'd want to use a smaller spray bottle like this if you have a smaller garden. You don't need larger containers. If you have a larger garden, you want to set them up. You want to set up your sprays in larger containers. This way you don't have to keep refilling them. So BT and neem oil are really used for chewing insects. They're organic, rated to be organic. I still wouldn't recommend spraying everything and then eating it right away. So if you're spraying any kind of chemical, harvest what you want, for the next couple of days from your garden, and then put down your sprays. And then we're also going to use peppermint oil. You can use rosemary oil. I sell neem oil and the peppermint oils at my seed shop. That is to mask the scents of your plants, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then I'm going to use Serenade, which is my antifungal. You can use whatever one you want. The whole key with an antifungal is to spray on a routine. Don't miss dosages, and that means you could pick every 7 days, you can pick every 10 days, you can pick every 14 days. It's going to vary, again, depending on your zone. I'm going to try to do most of my sprays every 7 days this year. I'm going to really try and stay ahead of all the problems. So let's start with how the insects find your plants. A lot of insects look for colors. Your pollinators look for the bright colored flowers. They come to your plants, they pollinate. A lot of damaging insects can smell your plant. So for instance, here is my squash, and again I'll link that video that showed you how I planted them. I forgot, in the back I had 2 squash growing, and I forgot to thin down to 1 after about a week. So I cut them out. I really didn't want to remove them, but I had to. And you can see that white moth, that lays the eggs that hatch into the green cabbage looper that will chew holes in your cabbages and in your kale. So the insects are here. I really didn't want to remove them, but I did. And once you cut, and you can see the cut right there, your plants, if you're harvesting them, you're twisting off the squash, you're removing some damaged leaves, you're breaking the plant, the pheromones, the odor gets into the air, and the insects can find your plants. That's how they, find their food, basically. And this is true for squash, zucchini, cucumbers, most of your plants. Not every insect does this. So what do you want to do? You want to use the peppermint oil in your garden. You can put it on your plant leaves, you can put it on the wood chips, you can put it around the plants to mask the scents of your squash, cucumbers, zucchini, all those plants. And that is a way to help repel insects from coming to your garden. It also works well, I found the peppermint oil works well on the undersides of the leaves to irritate and repel spider mites. They're hard to kill off, but I found that the peppermint oil really does work for that. I will link a video, and I will put it in the description, that talks more in detail about how to set up the rosemary oil, the peppermint oils, and what they're used for. But I basically use 1 teaspoon of the peppermint oil or rosemary oil in a gallon of water, add in some soap, shake it up. You want the oil to be able to disperse through there so that when you spray, you're good to go. The Serenade is just set up as it says on the instructions. So where would I start? It really doesn't matter. You just don't want to mix chemicals together. And anytime you're starting new sprays, test spray. I already know this works. So what I'm going to do is I would start with the antifungal. And I get powdery mildew all the time on my squashes, zucchinis, cucumbers and stuff. So that's the top covered. You also want to get in on the underside, spray the undersides of the leaves, and that's going to put down your antifungal. That will help prevent the fungi, the funguses from coming and establishing on your plants. So you don't want to wait till you see powdery mildew on here. I know that I get it, so I'm going to start spraying now. I'll do this about every 7 days. You also want to spray early in the morning before the good insects come out, or later in the evening, and then you would let this dry. So let's just say I went through the garden, I sprayed all the squash, zucchini, came over here, hit the watermelons, the cucumbers, cover them with the antifungal, wait about an hour or two, let them dry. The next thing that I'd want to do is go ahead and get, let's come over here, shake it up. When you're using the peppermint oil, it's hard to do with one hand. You want to shake it up vigorously, mix the oil through. The soap will help disperse it. It's going to settle again. The oil's going to come back up here. So once you do that, start spraying all around your plants. If you know that you've used it before, you can spray the plants. For cucumbers with the peppermint oil, I like to get on the undersides. That's where spider mites like to hang out. I can already smell it. And it's a strong scent of peppermint oil that's going to fill your garden. It's going to make it hard for those insects to find what's growing in your garden, and they may bypass it. So you're always trying to reduce. It's not going to keep them away 100%, but it can reduce them down. Coming over to here, where I know that I cut the extra zucchini out of there, and I decided to take one. The plant looked huge over here, but I have 1, 2, 3 zucchini growing in there. If I had another plant, they're going to compete, they're going to struggle, easier for diseases to get in. I'm going to spray right where the cut is, spray in here, and that will help mask the scent of the damaged plant, damaged leaves, damaged stems. Okay, so we let that dry, you know, wait about another hour. You don't have to do these all on the same day. And then here's the neem oil. This is just set up in a spray bottle. This is something I sell, actually, the oil and the spray bottle set up at my seed shop. And you can see it's a high volume mister sprayer. All you're trying to do is disperse the neem oil on the stem, on the leaves, and if the chewing insect comes, it's going to chew that, it's going to ingest it, and it's going to die off in a couple of days. You don't have to buy neem oil, certainly for me, but it's 100% cold pressed with the azadirachtin. I'll link some videos that explains that. That's the component, the compound that kills the chewing insects. When you buy, look at all these tiny little bees. When you buy neem oil, often at the different stores, it's a hydrophobic extract of neem. All the good stuff has been pulled out. So look for it. If it says hydrophobic extract of neem, don't buy that. The other product you can buy is BT, and it's a Bacillus thuringiensis, I think is how you say it. Always kills me. And it controls worms and caterpillars on fruits, vegetables, ornamentals. These are both organic. Shake it up, and you would do the same thing. You would come over to the plant, spray the tops. Look how finely it mists. Spray the undersides. You don't need both. You can just pick one, whatever's available to you. And that covers your plant with the BT. Again, the insects chew on that, they eat it, and they die off. And the whole key to using these things is to start before the problems really come. Spray on a schedule. I'm going to do every 7 days, but you can pick every 7 to 14 days. Spray them in the morning or in the evening. Don't mix them all into the same container. In some cases you can, but I recommend keeping all your stuff separate. And then spray just how I showed you. Continue to do this through the season. It will keep your plants a lot healthier. And again, I'm going to link the video that showed you how I set up the planting hole for these. They're doing really well. This is about 4 weeks of growth from the transplant. Hope you enjoyed the video. It gives you some ideas of how you can protect your squash, cucumber, zucchini, melons from pests and disease. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com, and don't forget to keep a journal. Thanks for watching.